session and the chancellor.
I declare that the 512th Convocation of McMaster University for the conferring of degrees is now in session.
Please be seated. Good afternoon. My name is David Wilkinson, Provost and Vice President Academic of the University. This afternoon I have the great pleasure of acting as your Masters of Ceremonies and of welcoming you to our Convocation ceremony. Before we start our formal program, I would first ask everyone in the hall to switch off any electronic device that may ring or beep during the ceremony. I would now like to call upon our Chancellor, Dr. Linton Wilson, to make his opening welcoming remarks.
A very good afternoon to you all. President, Vice Chancellor, Chancellor Emeritus, Provost, Dean Kelton, Honorary Graduate, members of the Platform Party, graduands, ladies and gentlemen. Very warm welcome to this 512th Convocation of McMaster University. To our graduates, congratulations on your successes, on reaching an important milestone, an exciting milestone in your lives. Many of you will begin careers, embarking on new journeys. Some of you will be continuing your education, training, or preparation for more advanced or specialized activities. Best of luck to each and every one of you. To the parents, grandparents, family members, spouses, and friends here today, I invite you to take a bow as well. You can be proud of the roles you've played in the accomplishments being recognized in this convocation. To our faculty and staff, today marks tangible recognition of your efforts, particularly the successes of your students evident in this ceremony. Thank you and congratulations. This is a day of celebration. I wish you all an enjoyable afternoon.
I would now like to introduce Dr. Patrick Dean, President and Vice Chancellor, who will be presenting the honorary degree recipient.
Mr. Chancellor, by the authority of the Senate of McMaster University, I have the honor to present Elaine Carty. Educated at the University of New Brunswick and Yale University, Elaine Carty has pursued parallel careers as both a practicing nurse and a university professor. She was a staff nurse at Victoria Public Hospital and Kingston General Hospital and held teaching positions at the University of New Brunswick and at Queen's University. In 1975, she became an assistant professor at the University of British Columbia, where she continues to work as a professor and currently interim director of the Division of Midwifery, Department of Family Practice in the Faculty of Applied Science. In fact, Professor Carty co-wrote the proposal for the creation of UBC's midwifery program, served as the program's inaugural director, and in 2012 was instrumental in doubling the size of the incoming class of students. Professor Carty's contributions to scholarship, teaching, her profession, and Canadian healthcare, however, go far beyond the list of positions held on her curriculum vitae. The collection of her efforts puts her at the very forefront of midwifery in Canada, and she has been a catalyst for immense social change in the support of and environment for childbearing women in our country. She conducted some of the first Canadian research on early postpartum discharge, research that influenced subsequent changes in the Society of Obstetricians and Gynecologists of Canada's guidelines for the length of stay for hospital deliveries. Her work has also had a strong influence on the approach to data collection related to childbirth, the evidentiary framework supporting alternative services for childbearing women, interdisciplinary support for care at home during labor, and the distinctive supports required by pregnant and childbearing women with disabilities. Within the Canadian healthcare sector, Professor Carty was an early leader of the midwifery movement and profession. In the 1970s, she developed and championed proposals for the first midwifery birth centers in British Columbia, and for a decade and a half was a key member of Canada's first in-hospital midwifery service at the Grace Hospital. As she continued her role as an advocate and practitioner, her coordination of the measurement of safety and efficacy patterns provided data that was crucial to the full validation of midwifery in BC in 2002. She established a pregnancy drop-in clinic in the family housing complex at UBC and has participated in and in many cases led processes that provided the foundations for accreditation, regulation, and education within an emerging and evolving healthcare profession. The list of honors Professor Carty has received reflects her pioneering work. The Yale School of Nursing presented her with the Distinguished Alumni Award, and the University of British Columbia awarded her the Killam Teaching Prize. She received the Award of Excellence in Nursing from the Registered Nurses Association of British Columbia and the Award for the Promotion of Research-Based Practice from the Canadian Nursing Research Group. She was honored by the BC Health Association with its Legacy Award for contributions to midwifery education, and she is both an honorary life member of the Midwives Association of British Columbia and the first recipient of honorary registration with the College of Midwives of British Columbia. Professor Carty is one of the great pioneers in Canadian midwifery, a leader in advocacy and education, in addition to being a respected midwife and nurse who has demonstrated landscape-altering vision in clinical practice, in teaching, scholarship, and administration. Mr. Chancellor, in recognition of these accomplishments and a career dedicated to the support of childbearing women in Canada, I ask that you confer upon Elaine Carty the degree Doctor of Science, honoris causa.
Elaine Carty, by the authority of McMaster University's Senate, I have the great pleasure to confer upon you the degree Doctor of Science, honoris causa, in McMaster University, with all the rights and privileges pertaining to that degree. Congratulations. Come and stand with us. It's now my pleasure to invite Dr. Carty to deliver the Convocation address. Dr. Carty.
Thank you, Mr. Chancellor. Mr. President, deans and heads of departments, graduates of the health sciences, and proud family and friends. It is with gratitude that I accept this honorary degree. McMaster is a great university and one of the leading universities in the world in health sciences. One can always think of all the people that seem more deserving than you for this kind of an award. So many have contributed to what we know about healthy living, disease prevention, health care to those with illness, and the ever-important transformative experiences of giving birth and dying. As you move forward, you too will decide how you want to make your contribution. Some of you will become expert practitioners, outstanding researchers, innovative educators, wise administrators, or some combination of these. So as I advise you to have passion for your work, to bring your full spirit to it, and make your unique stamp on whatever you do, you will think maybe this advice is trite. As I was thinking about how to make this advice feel important and not banal, I reflected on what it was that gave me positive energy for my work, that made me feel like the work that I did was a gift. And what kept me going, though, when the hole in my spirit seemed large and continued giving seemed too much. Giving too much is a common problem for health professionals who put their all into their work. But it isn't the hours of work that have an impact on the people you care for, or your colleagues, or your students. It is your being present in your encounters, be they 5 minutes, 5 days, or 5 years. I want to tell you 2 personal stories that confirm for me the importance of being present in every encounter. My mother was in hospital for many weeks following an amputation of her leg as a result of poor circulation and diabetes. Each day that I visited her, I would ask, "How was your day?" One day she said to me, "I had the most amazing nurse." I said, "Well, tell me why. What did she do?" My mom simply said she looked me in the eye. You can imagine how I felt. During the same year, a friend who is a health professional was spending days in the hospital with her husband as he was being treated for liver cancer. When I asked her how her care was, she said the care was fine. All the orders were written and the procedures were done. And then she added, "But everyone seemed that they were always on their way somewhere else." It's easy to forget to be present when the demands of our work are so substantial, when time is of the essence. Of course, there are times when your focus is more on the task than the person, during complicated surgery or during an obstetrical emergency. But even then, there should be someone on the team to be present for the person. Presence requires a number of things of us. First of all, physical proximity. And that can mean standing or sitting close, making eye contact, using touch. But as we have more virtual online encounters with clients and colleagues without physical proximity, we will be challenged to maintain presence. But other very important aspects of presence still come into play, regardless of physical proximity. Another is availability. It's one thing to be physically present, but it's another to be both intellectually and emotionally available to the people you are with. A third component is authenticity, being real and not faking it. A fourth is reciprocity. Yes, you can be present and available by doing something to someone, an excellent physical exam, for example, but engaging with the person, knowing something about his or her part of the experience is a key component of reciprocity. And that leads to a fifth aspect of being present, connection. When a healthcare provider or colleague is present, wanting to be there and engaged, whoever it is will feel connection. They will not feel, like my friend felt, that you are on your way somewhere else. Presence isn't always easy or automatic. I have strong memories of being called by a pregnant friend, telling me she had just found out that her 37-week gestation baby was not alive. Labor was to be induced, and she asked me if I would accompany her. I said yes, but I knew the experience would call for a kind of presence I was not sure I could muster. Being physically there and being emotionally available over several hours was tough. As we talked through the evening that night and all through the night, we were both well aware of the intimacy of sharing this immense human experience. Being there helped her to endure this stillbirth and led to connection that is palpable still each time we see each other. Look around you at your next practice experience. Which healthcare providers are truly present, and how do they do it? So my final words to each of you, midwife, physician, childcare worker, health science graduate, researcher, aim to be present in your relationships. You have the privilege, the real privilege of being present when humans are at their most vulnerable, your obligation is to really be there. I have been absorbing every moment of my privileged position of being present with you today and with my colleagues over the last couple of days. And in some ways, though, every convocation speaker is the midwife at the birth of graduates as they take on their new roles in life. And like a woman giving birth, you have done this by your own steam. But with all important endeavors, we need guidance, and you have had the watchful, supportive assistance of your professors, your family, and your friends. Congratulations to each and every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Carty, for those inspirational words. You spoke of putting a unique stamp on things, your advice to the graduates. You have put a unique stamp in your life, on your profession. Congratulations and best wishes. Thank you.
Dr. Dean will now come forward to present the graduands to our Chancellor for admission to their degrees.
Will the graduands please stand? Mr. Chancellor, on behalf of McMaster University Senate, I present to you these candidates in order that you may confer the appropriate degrees and diplomas upon them, and I bear witness that they are worthy and suitable.
Graduates, by my authority and that of the McMaster University Senate, I have the great pleasure to admit you to your individual degrees in McMaster University with all of the rights and privileges pertaining to those degrees. My sincere congratulations.
Please be seated. Mr. Chancellor, on behalf of McMaster University Senate, may I also request that you confer the appropriate degrees in absentia upon all those candidates who have successfully completed the required course of study, but who are not present.
I declare all these degrees conferred in absentia.
Graduates, I now ask each of you to join me on stage so that the Chancellor and I may welcome you into the McMaster community of scholars.
Ladies and gentlemen, it would be appreciated if during the presentation of the graduates, you would hold your applause to the end of each degree category. Thank you. Mr. Chancellor, may I present to you the following graduates of the degree Doctor of Philosophy. Sang Kyun An. Carly Robin Desmond. Fei Ging. Leanne Stalker. Anna Marie Tomjanovich Berube. Ricardo Navarro Angeles. Lisa Carlesso. Mui Mui Ju. Jin Hui Ma. Richard Paul Whitlock. Daniela Demjanovich. Aaron Richard Froese. Anne-Marie Ganon. Brian Nicholas Jobsey. A.J. Robert McGray. Janet Mary Pritchard. Pia Lauren Reese. Stephen Gregory Smith. Kyle Bradley Stevenson. Ivan Stevick. Vincent DePaul. Saurabh Mehta. Mr. Chancellor, may I present to you the following graduates of the degree Doctor of Medicine and Doctor of Philosophy. Jeremy Mark Hernandez. Mr. Chancellor, may I present to you the following graduates of the degree Master of Science. Sarah Jane Rebecca Laronde. Mahtab Davari. Ahmed Ghani. Stephen Paul Havrilishin. Susan Ing Wayuni Jap. Darko Nezovic. Mojib Salman. Hasna Segi. Yervant Tazurian. Nelson Rigoberto Gomez Serrato. Elena Sangaris. Wala Saeed Emutawa. Nazia Bakhtiar. Jesse Chow. Elizabeth Alexandra Garside. Aliyah Anissa Nisar. Connie Ma. Robin Dana Shanks. Renee Ann Maria Wilson.
Mr. Chancellor, may I present to you the following graduates of the degree Doctor of Medicine. Samyuktha Adiga. Nicholas Afa. Liban Ahmed. Zishan Ahmed. Thalina Amaratunga. Charlena Anthony. Victoria Lane Archer. Shazeen Bandakwala. Lucy Barker. Rachel Allison Barrett. Tara Ann Baxter. Rahul Bayani. Emily Marie Bornival. Nikki Bozinoff. Jessica Lynn Bradick. Ellen Braun. Jennifer Ashley Brooks. Eric Brown. Irina Catherine Zarens Brown. Michael Victor Brown. Adrian Joseph Bruno. Stephanie Bion. Laura Antoinette Canceliere. Alexandra Lindsay Carter. Diana Nicole Carter. Michael Carvalho. Veronica Hugh Tung Chan. Sultan Chaudhry. Tiffany Chen. Tyler Chesney. Alexandra Choi. David Choi. Catherine Siskowski. Matthew Alex Conway. Erin Deanna Cusack. Chloe Davidson. Martin Mathieu Esmond Desjardins. Kyle Dorash. Anna Marie Duell. Josephine Dunstan. Resham Ejaz. Mustafa Hassam Al-Bahari. Kennedy Engbers. Pinchas Afrat. Marco Eric. Kate Elizabeth Everdell. Christopher Kieran Fleck. Lindsay Fleming. Sarah Louise Newton Follett. Michael Anthony Foote. Matthew Allen Foster. Catherine Mary Gerster. Joanna Mandy Gottfried. Curtis McGill Haddon. Kaylee Morgan Hagerman. Charmine Romana Harris. Claire Harlick. Miriam Henning Harris. Haley Christine Hatch. Christine Hawks. Alana Hawley. Stephen Paul Hoverlishin. Jacqueline Sing Woon Ho. Vivian C. Ying Ho. Kimia Harnemend. Inga Isupov. Ashu Jain. Seema Jain. Shilpa Jain. Emma Jevons. Sarah Jennison. Cheryl Lynn Johnson Keeping. Deborah Kahan. Thahir Kanji. Patrick James Albert Kennedy. Abu Bakr Jabir Khalifa. Aliyah Farzana Khan. Netta Hayutin. Jagbir Kinda. Jessica Ladisseur. Ingrid Yinling Lam. Matthew Silas Lamb. Rachel Lamont. Aaron Hugh Hay-Lau. Amy Catherine Lau. Ashley Elizabeth Laurence Leger. Laura Elizabeth Lawson. Daniel Jun Sung Lee. Hillary Mary Lee. Caitlin Charlene Ruth Lees. Kyle Jeffrey Lehman. Sonali Lukuge. Magdalene Ann Lugowski. Shazmin Manji. Alexandra Marceau. Allison Martin. Nancy Ann Maddock. Marcus Rosebus Mazurek. Heather Ann McClanagan. Ben McCutcheon. Todd McDonald. Janet Elizabeth McMorty. Hannah Han Meng. Ying Meng. Amanda Michael. Siraj Mithuani. Raghav Mode. Nazanin Montezeri. Andrew John Malloy. Sarah Margaret Neely. Scott Din Nguyen. Danya Nota. Koyel Papneja. Richa Perashar. Sarah Peltz. Farhan Pervez. Peter Daniel Poix. Danielle Renee Anne Pichet. Victoria Pila. Meredith Pope. Faria Qayyum. Omar Saeed Kazi. Taseen Rahman. Anita Padma Ramakrishna. Amanda Ramzaroop. Nathalie Stefania Ranger. William Raphael Raskin. Jenna Marie Ribello. Caitlin Bess Rigg. Laura Robert Shaw. Gemma Rogers. Erica Lee Robelin. Erin Elizabeth Rogers. Victor Rogozowski. Marissa Rossi. Salva Sadeghi. Jessica Saliba. Haban Samater. Mojib Samim. Hisham Saeed. Jessica Shaman. Laura Heather Lynn Sellings. Justine Sylvia Suraj. Anna Sheridan Jonah. Asad Siddiqui. Narendra Chandra Singh. Kelly Alexandra Sowden. Stacy Lynn Spear. Sintha Shrikanthan. Ragini Srinivasan. Melanie Robin Steele. Andrew Robert Strasser. Amir Suhail. Muhammad Saad Sultan. Nabil Muhammad Syed. Khalid Tahir. Carolyn Tam. Jonathan Eric Taves. Matthew Tenenbaum. Amudini Tanindran. Xavier Emmanuel Thompson. Justin Dat Ming Tilak. Robert Tone. Alexander Min Q Tran. Andrew Stewart C. Cassandra Lee Wee. Anya Barbara Van Meer. Laura Vance. Marissa Aaron Vance. Nicholas Zhen Wang. Braden Earl Waters. Anushka Weeraratna. Rosalind Wilson. Eric Wong. Sherman Gabriel Wong. Elise Wright. Mitchell Wright. Colin James Yardley. Dominique Yell. Harun Syed Yusuf. Samuel Ian Young Young. Melanie Beth Zimmerman.
Mr. Chancellor, may I present you the following graduates of the degree Bachelor of Health Sciences, Midwifery. Joanna Louise Besana. Adrian Elizabeth Crowthers. Savannah Chapman. Okay. Fallon Cooper. Elizabeth Ruth Cripps. Stephanie Ann Dow. Suzanne Elizabeth Draper. Laura Suzanne Divestein. Hardeep Vervaha. Rayanne Haley. Lynn Hendrick. Natalie Johnson. Alicia Lottie Julianne Reed. Ashley Keene. Elizabeth Larson. Pamela Lucas. Laura McIntosh. Melissa Noel Marchand. Alexandra Catherine Marshall. Lauren Ray McEachern. Sita Manoj Mistry. Amy Elizabeth Nunn. Olivia Schlepp. Isabel Singsong. Galia Sipos Randor. Candice Joanne Syme. Marie-Pierre Tendon Frenette. Rebecca Ann Feinberg. Elaine Ann Settle.
Mr. Chancellor, may I present to you the following graduates of the degree Bachelor of Health Sciences Honours. Jonathan Henry Gladstone Eisenberg. Marty Fathi Al-Fadl. Shahad Sanand Al-Sakar. Priscilla Ashlyn Ali. Sean Anthony Amodio. Nicole Elise Archer. Ida Ascari. James Bow. Joshua Barboza. Michael Baxter. Nicole Marie Béchard. Tina Bedinon. Samira Bandari. Caitlin Bowes. Alessandro Alvin Carotti. Matthew Chia. Irene Chen. Jessica Ting Chen. Amber Chen. Jim Chen. Paul Minjun Chun. Tamana Chiber. Marie Elizabeth Colantonio. Ria Bianca da Costa. Joanna DeLuca. Adriana Di Stefano. Nupur Dogra. Paula Veronica Dorongowski. Malik Mohammed El Haram. Amanda Claire Elliott. Darcy Ellis. Safura Fatima. Simon Feng. Erin Patricia Fernout. Lauren Emily Friedman. Milton Fu. Rakesh Gudamela. Christopher Haddad. Richard Hay. Chloe Emma Haldane. Injay Ham. Sarah Christina Davy Hampson. Dhruvin Kumar Haresh Hepara. Graham Hoyt. Christina Hong. Shohab Hossainpur. Flora Yuyan Huang. Alexandra Maria Hull. Lee Heather Johnston Larrett. Samir Kalra. Malika Kapoor. Savitoj Kaur Kera. Shara Kim. Alexia Kim. Anna Kobliansky. Melissa Singping Ko. Henry Kwan. Amy Lam. Emily Mary Landon. Danielle Juniel Lee. Keith Matthias Lee. Mark Lee. Brian Lee. Janice Elizabeth Lim. Steve Lim. Carson Lowe. Kimberly Loy. Nathaniel Patrick Lorenzi. Amy Dwoli Liu. Yvonne Ma. Tahareen Mahmoud. Anit Man. Emma Margarita Mauti. Adam Scott McDowell. Caitlin Louisa Mellor. Bhavik Deepak Mistry. Mark Sam Monukino. Sofia Morales. Rosaline So-Yoon Moon. Yusra Munawar. Simran Mundi. Justin Beros Neves. Philip Pankov. Timothy Park. Neha Patel. John Kenneth Peel. Samantha Penny. Libe Pai. Jennifer Haley Poon. Kelly Zhu. Santa Rabi. Sathaf Rahman. Manthan Raval. Karthihar Ravintharan. Ethan Rayner. Iram Rizwan. Lauren Elizabeth Salsi. David Sands. Caleb Dylan Scott. Allison Keiko Shoki. Rasika Singh. Sukhmani Kaur Suri. Michelle Lauren Stackeruk. Kelly Yang Soon. Osman Tariq. Patrick Andrew Thornley. Kyle Matthew Vader. Vashini Vakisan. Vincent Valdres. Anne-Lorraine Valmadrid. Nathan Vignesh. Danielle Alexander Waltho. Anthony Wan. Christopher Wang. Ashley Victoria Warriors. Jenna Julia Weber. Natasha Wickert. Emily Victoria Wilton. Louis Winston. Jeffrey Wong. Yufan Wu. Meng Chen Shi. Fan Yang. Jennifer Yin. Bianca Nicole Zapanta. Laura Mary Zaccaro. Mr. Chancellor, may I present to you the following graduate of the degree Bachelor of Health Sciences. Kester Ing.
Mr. Chancellor, may I present to you the following graduates of the Diploma in Child Life Studies. Stephanie Beverly. Kimberly Clark. That's okay. Courtney Brianne Knight. Alex Milak Gould. Kenna Patterson.
Margot Randall. Nathan Cass Steven Sorosky. Aaron Sherlock. Esther Yang.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would now like to introduce to you Mr. Farhan Pervez, a graduate of the Doctor of Medicine program, who will be delivering the valedictory address.
Good afternoon, Chancellor Wilson, President Dean, Dr. Carty, Dean Calton, honored faculty, wonderful family and friends, and most importantly, my fellow graduates of the Faculty of Health Sciences. On behalf of the class of 2013, I would like to thank everyone for celebrating this occasion with us. It is through your guidance and unconditional support that we have made it this far. Thank you. Class of 2000. All right, I'll keep going. Class of 2013, we're gathered here today to celebrate the beginning of the next stage of our lives. But as we sit here 2, 3, 4 years, or if you're a PhD student, a decade later, ready to graduate with degrees in hand, we can reflect on how we felt when this journey started. Before, we spent thousands of dollars, became addicted to caffeine, lost countless nights of sleep, and for some of us are here. At the beginning of medical school, like many of us at the start of our degrees, I was both nervous and excited about being accepted into the program of my choice and beginning a journey I had worked very hard for. After the initial euphoria wore off, I fell into my normal routine, living in the library, eating from vending machines, showering in the gym. At this time, I found myself deeply dissatisfied with what my life had become. At a time when I was being congratulated for my accomplishments, I became unhappy with what I was doing and what I had accomplished. I even went as far as to question whether I had made the right decisions in both my personal and academic life. I wondered if I should take time off or change directions altogether. It was here that I realized that these feelings centered on a conflict between the career and life I was working for and the goals and dreams that had driven me to get this far, dreams I had put aside. One of these dreams was to promote education and work with the youth in my community. I had always told myself the time was not right. I didn't realize that the time may never seem right, and we may keep stalling our dreams forever. So I decided, despite how busy I am, I would make time in my schedule to start a nonprofit that worked with high school students in the community. This move to start following my dreams allowed me to become more satisfied with the direction my life was taking and the person I had become. It also helped me realize that our education is often so extensive that we forget or put off the goals and dreams that allowed us to come so far. The tragedy is that we spend so much time looking forward to achieving our goals that we often lose sight of what brought us here in the first place. Like many children before us, and hopefully many after us, we dared to dream. We dreamed of helping others and changing the world. We all had dream jobs, whether it was an astronaut, fireman, doctor, or scientist. My dream job as a child was to be an FBI agent that hunted aliens. But reality led me to medicine. We came to McMaster because we had dreams, and we decided it was worth the effort and the expense to follow these dreams. McMaster provided us with an oasis where we were allowed to make mistakes, explore our options, good or bad, and experiment with life and other things. It gave us the opportunity to learn and grow with little regard for consequences. For many of us, this journey is over. With graduation, we are expected to mature into adults living in the real world with real consequences and responsibility. But does this mean we must outgrow the recklessness, immaturity, and creativity that allowed us to dream? These traits allowed us to believe that anything is possible and that we can change the world. It is also these same traits that drove us to learn about other people, places, and ways of life. Renowned painter Pablo Picasso said, "It took me 4 years to paint like Raphael, but a lifetime to paint like a child." It is these childish traits that allow us to dream of great ideas, push the cusp of reality, and leap without looking. It is these traits that have allowed people to aspire to and achieve greatness, and with that, make our society what it is today. We must work hard to hold on to the recklessness and creativity, that fearlessness that allowed the likes of Monet, Mozart, Marx, and Neruda to create masterpieces and change the world. Do not be afraid of what life has to offer you. Go out and push the boundaries. Take the first step into uncharted territory. It is scary being different or trying something new, but we have been doing this all our lives. From the moment you left your parents to enter kindergarten, you have been taking steps into the unknown. This doesn't mean we should strive to change the world as the next Gandhi or Mandela. It means we should challenge the status quo in our own lives, and to not be content until we are truly happy about the lives we have created for ourselves. In the course of my journey, I have been fortunate to meet a friend who showed me that it is never too late to follow your dreams. At the age of 40, he quit his job as a manager at IBM and went to medical school, and is currently completing his residency in neurosurgery. When asked why he made such a drastic change, especially as a husband and father of 3, his only reply was that his dream was to work closely with people and help them through the most difficult times in their lives, and it was about time he followed his dreams. Class of 2013. For many of us, the journey is not over. We still have much more training left before we achieve the goals we originally set out for. Having been at McMaster for both my undergraduate degree and now my medical studies, I have found one lesson that is ingrained into this institution, something that we are constantly reminded. It is a surprising message and not always intuitive. Do not live your life focusing on your goals. Goals are a necessary part of life, but what makes our existence meaningful is the journey we take to achieve these goals. Achieving our goal is gratifying to our psyche, but the process of pursuing these goals allows us to grow in age and spirit. It allows us to gain knowledge, experience, and ultimately wisdom. It allows us to see, interact with, and experience the world. It is in this stage that life is lived. So class of 2013, you have a bright future ahead of you, one filled with great adventure, joy, and love. And as you move through the next stages of your lives, remember the dreams that allowed you to come this far and the people that helped you achieve them. And if you ever find yourselves at a crossroads, unhappy with the way your life turned out or what you have accomplished, listen to that child inside you that once dared to dream. And like that child, be reckless, creative, and fearless. The world is yours, and you choose what to make it. I leave now with the words of a South Asian poet and philosopher, Allama Iqbal. Your world is the one which you create for yourself, not these stones and bricks which you see before you. Congratulations, class of 2013.
May I again call upon our President, Dr. Patrick Deane, who will present the President's Award for Outstanding Contributions to Teaching and Learning and the President's Award of Excellence in Student Leadership.
Would Dr. Bruce Wainman please come forward? Dr. Bruce Wainman, as evidently most of you know, is an associate professor in the Department of Pathology and Molecular Medicine and director of the education program in anatomy in the Faculty of Health Sciences. He is also the Biological Sciences Coordinator for the Midwifery Education Program and the Director of the Surgical Skills Laboratory in Health Sciences. In these many capacities, Dr. Wainman teaches anatomy courses for a variety of students in different health professions. His ability to meet their needs with excellence and innovation resulted in Dr. Wainman receiving the McMaster Student Union Teaching Award 4 times for the Faculty of Health Sciences. Students rate his courses among the best in the university, complementing his teaching style and his teaching effectiveness. Dr. Wainman developed an interprofessional education anatomy course that brings together a variety of students in different health sciences professional programs, as well as students from other faculties. Dr. Wainman introduces a common anatomy curriculum and allows his diverse student population to educate each other on the professional use of anatomical knowledge in different disciplines. This form of interprofessional learning is unique, and Dr. Wainman's model has received provincial and national recognition. Another innovation resulted from the need for a large number of students to gain access to McMaster's anatomical specimens. To meet this need, Dr. Wainman and colleagues captured the McMaster anatomical specimen collection in digital format so that students can use the computers and iPads available in the anatomy lab to study the digitized and biological specimens that are relevant to the needs of each program. This is the Mac Anatomy project. He further helped to design the Anatomy Learning Commons, an appealing learning environment that encourages students to congregate to learn from each other. A third innovation was designed to meet the needs of the pharmacology curriculum for students in the midwifery education program, a consortium involving McMaster, Ryerson, and Laurentian universities. No available textbook met this need, so Dr. Wainman led a team that produced an online text for all 3 universities that is interactive with voice over annotations of text and diagrams to teach complex concepts, and that uses a clinical case-based method to realize the specific needs of midwifery. In recognition of his overall excellence in teaching, his national recognition for innovative interprofessional teaching methods, and his multiple innovations to serve the needs of students, Dr. Wainman is a deserving recipient of the President's Award for Outstanding Contributions to Teaching and Learning. Hey, Bruce. Congratulations. Fantastic work. Well done. And now, turning to the President's Award of Excellence in Student Leadership, Would Lauren Salsi please come up? In some ways, Lauren Salsi can best be described as student, athlete, teacher. Since last fall, the Ancaster, Ontario native has been working as a McMaster athlete academic mentor, counseling student athletes at the university with a variety of study and management techniques as part of an innovative and engaging leadership program. She also spent the past 2 years playing field hockey on the women's extramural team and previously stormed the pitch as a member of McMaster's intramural soccer league. This designation, however, is only one side of Lauren's rich and vibrant student experience. Her list of extracurricular accomplishments is astounding, including, but certainly not limited, to founding the MSU Sign Language Club and serving as its president, membership on the Charity Ball Fundraising and Promotions Committee, membership on the Inter-Residence Council, and various student leadership roles helping to fundraise for Camp Trillium. In terms of giving back to the Greater Hamilton community, Lauren has also worked with the Kiwanis Boys and Girls Club as a sign language club leader. She has served as a Smiling Over Sickness volunteer at Ronald McDonald House, and she has volunteered with the McMaster Arts for Children initiative, helping to engage young minds through artistic expression. Academically, Lauren is an inquisitive mind with a knack for breaking new ground in health sciences research and is no stranger to awards. She received a Bachelor of Health Sciences Honours Program Scholarship in 2011, the Abruzese Federation of Hamilton Scholarships in 2010 and 2012, and was honoured last year with the Elva Carroll Community Contribution Award for demonstrating outstanding leadership and fair play in the university's athletic community. Congratulations, Lauren. Very well done. What a fantastic Here's a handsome award for you.
May I introduce to you Dr. John Kelton, Dean and Vice President, Health Sciences. Dr. Kelton will now deliver the Health Sciences address.
Mr. Chancellor, Mr. President, Dr. Carty, honored guests, but most of all graduates. 40 years. 40 years ago, a rock and roller, Bob Seger, sang, "All those years, where'd they go? I sit and wonder sometimes where they've gone." Today's special for me because it was 40 years ago this month, my mom and dad and my yet-to-be wife, Kathleen, attended my graduation. I sat in an auditorium like this one, but that day I looked a little different. My hair was as long as anyone in Bob Seger's silver bullet band, and my sideburns were big and proud as mutton chops. That day, our dean, I'm sure, gave one of the great convocation speeches of modern times. Of course, I don't remember a word. I don't remember anything he said, but I do remember well one of the lessons my professor had given me the previous week. Squint. Squint. I'd been looking at a patient's x-ray, lost in the extraordinary detail of the aortic root and whether or not the mediastinum was overly full. Then I received a lesson that stuck with me for 4 decades. Step back, he said, and squint just hard enough so the x-ray moves out of focus. I did that, and with my hand, I traced an opacity in the lingular. Exactly. Early pneumonia. That day I learned it was more important to understand the overall picture than to dwell on details. Last month, a bad thing happened in Boston. That evening I arrived home, the TV was on. I didn't have my glasses. I stood 10 feet away and I squinted at the constantly replaying amateur video loop. The images were blurry, and while most viewers would have been transfixed by the details, all I could see were patterns of movement. Most of the people were moving away from the blast, seeking shelter, seeking safety. I was curious about another pattern. People running in the opposite direction towards injured people. Over the next few days, I learned that most of these individuals were trained responders who had special skills that required, in fact, dictated special behaviors. But most intriguing to me were the people running towards the danger without uniforms, without equipment, I learned without special training. They were running simply to help. Why would they ever do that? Was it obligation or duty or biology? Were they hardwired? The answer lies in the very thing that makes us human. We humans are the products of many hundreds of thousands of years of evolution. But humans have a more subtle interface with the world than do our closest relative, the chimpanzees. Many species have learned the benefits of cooperation. However, the ability and capacity to help others is unique to humans. Today, by age 2, a child who sees an adult struggling to open a door because they're balancing parcels not only comprehends this situation, but does something unique in the entire animal kingdom. That child will try and help. Sometime about 200,000 years ago, when humans and other primates started to move away from each other, we lost these skills. And I think some skills would have been wonderful to have retained. The ability to swing from trees comes to mind, and I've always wanted to have kept an opposable toe. That would be wonderful some days. But what we lost in our tree-swinging, toe-picking-up talents, we gained in a remarkable additional neuronal capacity acquired by the folding of the surface of the brain into ridges and fissures. And within a few of these very special novel spaces were unique foci, unique to humans. The expansion of the right inferior frontal gyrus, the periaqueductal gray matter in the midbrain. Why would we have these? In the last decade, these anatomically most peculiar regions in our brains have been explored through the magic of functional MRI. Cognitive psychologists watch these regions light up with intense activity as humans engage in what I personally believe is the highest level of human brain experience: feelings of empathy, feelings of compassion, feelings of kindness. Neurologists explore these functions of our brains, and they have shown an even more remarkable, I would call it almost miraculous thing. Not only are these complex brain areas active during these, the most noble of human thought, but they are like a muscle. And with greater use, neuroplasticity will reinforce, strengthen, and simplify these relationships. We can, with practice, become more empathetic, more compassionate, more kind. A quick aside. A few weeks ago, as I was writing this, I thought to myself, what a wonderful organ our brains are. In fact, it must be our single most important organ. And then I paused and said, wait a minute, isn't that my brain telling me to think that? Over the past number of years here at McMaster, you have acquired the skill sets to help people. That's not enough. Empathy, compassion, and kindness are every bit as important. The first two, I was most surprised to learn empathy and compassion are completely new concepts in the human experience, as evidenced as brand new words in the human lexicon. The one transitions to the other. Empathy is understanding another person's experience from that person's perspective. Compassion moves from an understanding towards an emotion. Compassion is not just sharing that experience, but it is an strong need to resolve into a reduction of that experience, a reduction of that suffering. To me, those two pivotal emotions are contained with an overarching framework, kindness. I was intrigued to learn that kindness is so central to human thinking that its very definition itself is circular. Quote, kindness is the act of being kind. 2 years ago, a friend and a fellow physician came by my office, and he was puzzled. He looked well, and he said, "John, a strange thing's happened to me over the past month. I had a routine x-ray, and my doc followed it up with an MRI and a biopsy. I don't believe it. I've got a malignancy. I never knew it. It's incurable." At that moment, he felt fine, but his body was preparing to abandon him. Advanced medical imaging technology had given him the opportunity to elect to receive therapy in hopes that it would extend his life. It didn't. About a year ago, after the treatments had stopped, he came by my office. We enjoyed a cup of tea and reminisced about McMaster, students, learning. And we talked about a future graduation speech that I might give. I asked him, what would he want me to say? He told me a story. He said, "This happened to me last week. I was in for a blood transfusion. It was remarkable. The technology is so advanced. They took my blood, cross-matched it, and in no time, 2 units of fresh, safe blood was flowing into me. That is incredible efficiency. I felt a bit stronger after it. But, you know," he said, "as the hours went by during the blood transfusion, most of all, I wished someone had smiled at me, had asked, 'How are you doing?' or had walked up and patted my shoulder." Empathy, compassion, kindness. Graduates, use them like they're muscles. My wife, Kathleen, here today, has a sign in our house, which she brought from her mom and dad's house. It says, "No act of kindness, however small, is ever wasted." Graduates, it's my wish, my request, that you increasingly exercise these wonderful muscle groups, empathy, compassion, kindness. I wish for you that they become the foundation upon which your professional and personal lives are based. Finally, for the gentlemen in the audience, one last admonition: never, ever underestimate the joy of growing sideburns that looked like they came from a butcher shop. Thank you.
May I now introduce Mr. Mark Stewart, a representative of the McMaster Alumni Association, who will deliver the Alumni Association address.
Chancellor Wilson, President Dean, Chancellor Emeritus Hochrig, Dr. Wilkinson, Dr. Kelton, Dr. Carty, McMaster faculty, fellow alumni, honored guests, and members of the McMaster class of 2013. My name is Mark Stewart. I'm the president of the board of directors of the McMaster Alumni Association. I twice had the opportunity to participate in the experience you're having today. I received my Honors Bachelor of Arts in History in 2006 from McMaster, and I received my MBA from the Groot School of Business in 2010. The graduations are always a time to reminisce on the past and to celebrate the moment, but mostly to look forward to the future. And because of that, convocations are always filled with words of wisdom. Often these are quotes and thoughts and experiences that have stood the test of time. Well, of course, McMaster's also stood the test of time. We recently celebrated our 125th anniversary, and as you heard earlier, we've had over 500 convocations. We've sent over 165,000 alumni into the world, and you can now find us in over 130 countries. Our alumni are CEOs, doctors, nurses, academics, executives, and leaders of all types, regardless of their titles. So we thought, who better to gather some wisdom from than people from our own McMaster family? So we asked our alumni around the world to send an advice for new grads like yourselves. We called it the Good Advice Project, and today I have the chance to share with you a selection of this advice. Bill Prosser from the class of 1946 told us, upon graduation, do your best to get a job at any level that focuses on the work you love. He said that you'll find by doing a job you love, this is how you'll soon rise to senior positions. Chuck Simmons, class of 58. Treasure the close McMaster friendships you've developed. Keep in touch with them across the world. Decades may fly by, but shared laughs and experiences will keep you grounded throughout life. Valerie Barker, class of 81. At the end of the day, always be able to look at yourself in the mirror and say, I've done the best that I can today to help people, to work hard at life, to respect people, and to add value. Amanda Gibson from the class of 2006 said, don't be scared if you graduate and realize you have no idea what you're going to do with yourself. Sit down, take a breath, reflect on what you value, on what moves you, and what you're good at. Try to find something that balances all three. Regardless of what you choose, every day is an opportunity to refine your decision. A more recent grad, Camille Orr from the class of 2013 says, never stop networking. Whether you're one of the lucky bunch to have been employed before graduation, whether you're a graduate or a first year in your organization, talk to everybody. Give without expecting anything in return. Stay hungry for connections, McMaster grads. Now, my advice for you as an alumnus is to note that when you step foot on McMaster campus in your first year, you embarked upon a lifelong relationship that carries forward far past today's ceremony. It's not just that your degrees will be permanently recorded on your resumes and on your LinkedIn profile, but it's the changes of yourself and your thoughts, your actions, your attitudes that McMaster had upon you as a person that becomes a permanent part of who you are. For me, my relationship has changed since I left McMaster. The professors who made an impact on me, they're now my friends and my mentors. My classmates, they became people who I could trust, and now I do business with them. McMaster became a venue for me to pay it forward, where I could engage with students and share some of the knowledge that was given to me by alumni. For many grads, likely such as yourselves, McMaster can become an employer. It's a place people are proud to send their children. It's a network that people tap into. I just returned from a trip to Trinidad, where my family's from, and where McMaster actually has over 100 alumni, many of them in leadership roles in the country, including working in the health sciences. I met with a group of them on the day I arrived. During the trip, I attended events with them. We discussed doing business. We looked at ways to promote the McMaster brand in the Caribbean, and really, we just had a great time. And upon saying I went to McMaster, there was an instant connection between all of us. So I say this to point out, no matter where you are in the world, in what field of work, in what stage of life, don't underestimate the value of your McMaster network. As you know, the strength of any relationship is a direct result of the effort you put towards it. I want to share with you that my relationship with McMaster as an alumni has been rewarding, enriching, and motivating, and I hope that you take the effort to do the same. The association is going to continue inviting advice from our members, including you, as we'll be asking new grads to provide wisdom to our incoming students. And we think that this support from one generation of McMaster family to the next is important, because every McMaster class, regardless of era, shares at least two key things with all others. The first is the great potential you have as a graduate of one of the world's truly great universities, as you know, regularly recognized as one of the top 100 in the world, or to put it in another context, the top 1% of universities in the world. And of course, McMaster's reputation is substantially in thanks to our health sciences program. The second is that we all share a familial connection with McMaster and to each other, and a responsibility to build on this legacy that we've inherited. So the association's purpose is to help you maintain that connection. You can be part of MAC 10, which is a program specifically designed for grads of the last decade. The alumni magazine, the McMaster Times, will now be landing in your mailbox, and we look forward to you to joining us on our online community. You can engage the association on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and we expect that you'll join your fellow alumni at one of hundreds of events we do every year across the world, from Hamilton to Hong Kong. There's a place for everyone in the McMaster Alumni Association and ways to remain connected, from keeping in touch on social media, right up to becoming the university's most senior volunteer, like our chancellor, a proud member of the class of 1962. Now, today is a privilege for all of us, as this is Dr. Wilson's final convocation season as chancellor. So on behalf of the association, I want to thank him for his dedication to his alma mater as a philanthropist, a volunteer, and an advocate. Mr. Chancellor, you represent the absolute best of McMaster's lifelong relationships with alumni. Among other accomplishments, Dr. Wilson has served as president and CEO of Redpath Industries, chairman of Nortel, president, CEO, and chairman of BCE, and has been appointed an officer of the Order of Canada. Dr. Wilson, you're truly a role model for all of us, and in recognition of your contributions, I'd like to ask everyone to join me in a round of applause. So to the McMaster class of 2013, we celebrate your success as students and toast the promise of your futures as alumni. Your fellow McMaster grads are proud to today welcome you into our McMaster alumni family. Thank you.
May I invite Dr. Dean back to the podium to deliver the President's address.
I'd like to begin by noting that, like a number of people on the podium today, I too sported a pair of mutton chop sideburns at one time, and I too can speak for how excellent they are, and they seem to really cause a stir at social events. Well, the ceremony has been wonderful, as Convocation always is. It has been a celebration of all of you and your individual achievements, of the McMaster family, in which, as of today, you have succeeded to a different kind of membership, and also of our society, which accords to universities a privileged status as well as generous support, in return for which we provide not only brilliant and energetic leaders for tomorrow, but also the new ideas and discoveries that will shape our future. Convocation is a communal event because it celebrates our community, its values, and its aspirations. So this is a time to contemplate where you fit in, not only within the McMaster community, although Mark just gave you some very good ideas about how you might do that, but more broadly in our society and in our world. 3 years ago, at my first McMaster Convocation, I tried to describe where I saw myself fitting in, and I spoke about the idea of education as integrity, about my belief that education is diminished in its value and in its effect when it falls out of touch with the full gestalt of human concerns. So in keeping with that belief, the question I would ask you to consider today is this: where will your university education eventually find its value? And where would you hope to see its greatest effect? How will your life, as the proud holder of a McMaster degree, intersect with and address the large questions facing our species and our planet? Ronald Dworkin, the eminent legal philosopher from whom I quoted on this platform 3 years ago, identifies the issue in this way. This is Dworkin's words. Living must be more than finding oneself pulled by unexamined habit through worn grooves of expectation and reward. No respectable or even intelligible theory of value, he writes, supposes that making and spending money has any value or importance in itself, and almost everything people buy with that money lacks any importance as well. Dworkin prompts us to be always mindful of the value of what we do, and to understand value in qualitative rather than quantitative terms. Value is something that resides in relationship, in between people and things, between people and ideas, and it is to be measured, if at all, in effect. Dworkin expresses this notion beautifully, if rather bleakly, in the following way. And another quote from him. The only value we can find in living in the foothills of death as we do is adverbial value. In other words, how we live is a question of value. That we live and die is merely a matter of fact. Ronald Dworkin died at the age of 81 in February of this year. And in his last major work, which was published at the end of 2011, he sought to provide an overview of his thinking, one which brought together his work in the law, in political philosophy, moral philosophy, the theory of interpretation, and so on. And the book has a most wonderful title. It is called Justice for Hedgehogs. It's an odd title. It suggests the old votes for women, justice for hedgehogs, freedom for Mandela, etc. Now, the title is actually derived from a line from the ancient Greek poet Archilochos, popularized in the 20th century by Isaiah Berlin. And this is how the line goes. The fox knows many things, but the hedgehog knows one big thing. And in this line are contrasted two ways of viewing the world. The first regards phenomena as serial, separate, and individual, while the second sees them as not merely connected, but integrated, not a series, but a singularity. For Dworkin, this is the phrase I love from this book, value is one big thing. Now, I won't try to unpack this assertion in all its complexity, except to refer you back to my observation that value is something that resides in relationships and that has no existence outside of relationships. At one level, this simply means that the realm of ethics and morals is community, the network of relationships through which we have an opportunity to do more than merely live. It also means that moral and ethical values are of necessity interconnected and interdependent. A life does not realize its potential value through compartmentalization. To be ruthless and uncompromising in the office, yet loving and solicitous in the family, what kind of a life is this? And what might we want to say about its value? If value resides in the adverbs which describe our actions and the adjectives which describe us, how does the equation that links ruthlessness and lovingness work out? Does it resolve as zero? Only the hedgehog knows. The point about the hedgehog's view that is worth remembering is this. The value of a life is the sum of its qualitative interactions with the world, immediate and remote, direct and indirect, private and public, professional and recreational. Integrity, as we commonly understand the word, resides in the consistency with which we apply ourselves in all of these realms. We have integrity when we act not according to values that change with circumstance, but as if our value as persons is one big thing. Now, notwithstanding Dworkin's very critical comments about the value of money and what can be bought with it, the world of finance does provide an analogy that is useful for thinking about the project of being a worthwhile human being. In the same way that your accountant won't allow you in the final analysis to separate your assets from your liabilities, won't let you ignore the latter and concentrate on the former just because to do so makes you feel wealthier, the hedgehog insists that in accounting for the value of your being on earth, everything must be counted in. And the bottom line is this: if we want to live well, the focus must be on what we must do for and not do to other people. Now, in anticipation for today's convocation ceremony, many of you, I know from observing this on the platform, will have invested in some new clothes. A new shirt, a tie, a dress, shoes perhaps. Now, I'm not a shopping theorist or expert, merely like most people, I'm an occasionally enthusiastic amateur. But I know that into your deliberations at the rack in the clothing store will sooner have come thoughts about the value of the garment you were thinking of buying. A primary consideration for most people would be the asking price, which, as you move from considerations of affordability and then to use, turns into an assessment of the garment's value. Now, typically, the context within which we find and attribute value to a shirt or a dress is very narrow. Will it earn you some cachet in your fashionable circle? Will it say something about you that you once said? Or perhaps it will simply delight your eye. Pulchrum est id quod visum placet, as St. Thomas says. Beauty is that which, being seen, pleases. This is another one of these tautological observations that Dr. Kelton referred to. Value is neither essential nor tautological, however. Things have different value for different people in different circumstances. And in the kind of commercial moment I've just been describing, the hapless garment becomes simply a nexus for various intersecting value propositions: yours, the stores, the manufacturers, the advertisers. And it is in the interest of all those people, especially the retailer, to keep the context within which you assess the value of their commodity simple and narrow, to compartmentalize the buyer with the product so that only value of the most personal kind can be attributed or discovered. Going back to Archilochus's contrast between the hedgehog and the fox, I would say that commerce functions by making foxes of us all. It encourages us to encounter the world serially and without reference to the one big thing. After the April 24th collapse of the Rana Plaza garment factory in Bangladesh, killing more than 1,100 workers, can shopping for clothes ever again be the kind of fox-like, somewhat self-involved activity I have been describing? No doubt for some people it can and will. There will be those, I suppose, whose capacity for compartmentalization is so advanced that exploitation and human suffering expended in the production of a garment does not factor in their assessment of its value to them. I thought of this recently in the men's section of the Hudson's Bay Company, where for the first time I noticed, because recent events had prompted me to look, that by far the majority of the shirts available were made in Bangladesh, where, as we all recently learned, a worker's life is sometimes cheap to her employer, and where the minimum monthly salary for a garment is 3,000 takas, approximately $38. Approximately half also of what my Canadian retailer is asking me to pay for one of the thousands of shirts shipped from that factory. My purpose today is not to debate the merits or demerits of commerce or to venture into the realm of business ethics. Literature professors should stay out of that kind of territory. Instead, I've seized on the Bangladesh garment workers' tragedy and our daily involvement with it through the clothes we buy and wear as an illustration of why it is impossible to live a good life without taking the hedgehog's view, without understanding that value, as we ascribe it to our lives, to others, and to objects, is one big thing, or rather, we must at all times behave as if it is all one big thing. The inhumane treatment of workers in Bangladesh must be reckoned by me as I assess the value of a garment I'm being invited to purchase. If I do not do that, my own value as a human being is diminished. Only connect. That is, if I might borrow from a character in E.M. Forster's novel Howard's End, the whole of this sermon. Forster has his characters say, live in fragments no longer, and the isolation upon which excess and injustice depends will give way to unity and community. In Dworkin's analogy, it is the hedgehog who sees the world in its interconnectedness and who understands his own value in being of the whole and acting for the good of the whole. This convocation ceremony provides an opportunity to ask you to take your McMaster degrees and go out into the world in the same spirit. If not confident in your ability to transform the world, at least determined to live in it with integrity and dignity. Farewell, hedgehogs. Thank you.
Thank you very much, President Dean, for those words of wisdom and inspiration. And I noted some connection with the words of Dr. Kelton when he talked about kindness, compassion, empathy. Similar notions in terms of reaching out and facing the world. And I think that's excellent advice for those of you who are embarking on careers to think about how those qualities can make your lives and your accomplishments more meaningful. I realize that this has been a long day for many of you. I realize that there was a ceremony this morning and that I'm all that stands between you and some refreshments this afternoon. I would like to congratulate Dr. Wainman on his award and also Ms. Salsi on her award. This has been an inspirational day for all of us. I must remark, as someone, as Mark Stewart said, who graduated more than 50 years ago, when I first became an undergraduate here in 1958, the university had all of 1,300 students in total. That was the size of the university. There was no health sciences faculty or program, and engineering had just begun as a faculty. This has now grown to more than 25,000 students today. And the success of the health sciences program, Dr. Kelton, under your leadership and the leadership of your predecessors, has created something remarkable for this university, which itself has grown successfully to world-class scale and accomplishment. So congratulations to all of you that have been part of the health sciences faculty and those that have led it over the years. I return to Dr. Carty's unique stamp. That phrase will remain with me because I think it's excellent advice to all of us, to you that are entering the world, to those of us who are still part of it, making sure that we do put our unique stamp on our lives is, I think, something that we should all aspire to. With that, let me make an announcement that flowers that have been delivered for graduates will be available at the coat check in the main lobby. I'd ask you to please remain standing at your seats until the academic procession and the graduates have left the hall. And I'd ask you now to rise and join with me in the singing of our national anthem. After the singing of the anthem, this convocation stands adjourned.